just now ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. I'm going to look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion under Chapter 2, Section 123 of the Town Code under suspension of rules, amendment or repeal, to suspend the rules of meetings, specifically Section 102 regarding special meetings, and the last line that says that nothing else should be considered at such a meeting but what's set forth in the agenda.
I second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Council. Read that again so that everybody understands it.
So my motion would be to enact Section 123, it's on page 2-11 in the Town Code, suspension of rules. The rules shall not be dispensed with or suspended unless 5 members of the council consent thereto. And specifically, I would like to suspend rule Section 102, special meetings, where the last sentence states that the call for said special meeting shall set forth the matters to be acted upon at such meeting, i.e. the agenda, and nothing else should be considered at such meeting. I'd like to suspend that rule.
Can we, yes.
So I was asked this question, so I did contact the town attorney, and I have it in writing back from the town attorney. I asked, can any items be added to the agenda for tonight's special council meeting? Response: this question is answered by Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 102. That section governs special meetings of the town council and states in the last sentence, the call for said special meeting shall be set forth the matters to be acted upon at the meeting, and nothing else shall be considered at such meeting. If the various items that members of the council and citizens want to add to the agenda were not included in the call for the special meeting, Section 102 prohibits that section or that addition. Items not included in the call of the special meeting will have to be taken up at a future meeting. And so this may be because it's an executive session, but if you want to waive the rules, you can look at that. It's unusual for an executive session.
Well, specifically, I would just like to be able to have counselor and audience reports after the executive session.
What are the counselor and audience reports? Is it on the executive session?
If a counselor would wish to make comments, if the council makes a decision or announces a decision after they come out of executive session, I believe that the counselors should be able to comment on that decision tonight and not have to wait 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks until our next meeting.
And the usual discussion from the audience as well.
Right.
It is an executive session, and I have not seen that take place in all of these decades. But of course,
well, it would be,
if you wish to do it, you can vote on it and discuss whether you're going to do it or not.
so I would just be looking for the opportunity for counselors and audience people to comment if we announce a decision of some kind after the executive session. I would like counselors to be able to comment on that as well as audience members.
I understand the request. It is not something I've seen before. Bob, you've been on the council for decades. Have you seen any items like that?
So what?
Well, I'm just asking, but you can vote on that, certainly. Tim, have you seen that?
No, I have
on the
not.
executive session? All right, so you all decide what you want to do.
So the purpose, Heather, is for, I guess, all this stuff is just so a little bit rare anyways, that so I'm just trying to make it clear. So so you want us to vote to have, so that after the executive session, the counselors can come out if they want and say, we can't really talk about what can we say about, I guess all we could say is if we came up with an official, the council officially did this, right?
Correct. If the council goes into executive session, has a discussion, comes out of executive session. A lot of times we say no decisions were made. Sometimes we say we decided to sell a parcel of land to so-and-so.
Yeah.
That's an announcement of what we discussed. It's not the particulars of what we discussed, it's the result of what we discussed. And I would like the counselors and the audience members to be able to comment on that if we come out of it with a decision. If we don't, then it's a moot point. But
Yeah.
if we make a decision and we announce that decision, or whatever the terminology is, then I would like the counselors to be able to have the opportunity to comment on that as well as the audience members.
Yeah. Okay, but that could also be something that just one counselor could just come out and say what we decided to do too, right? I mean,
Well, I think
or
the
you
mayor
want every
usually-
counselor, huh?
Doesn't the mayor usually say
Yeah.
what the...
My understanding is that if a decision is made, all we can comment on is that decision. We can't comment on anything else. Nothing else can be
Correct.
dragged into it. We can't have
Correct.
an agenda item that isn't on the agenda being discussed because
Correct.
understand that we're in pretty unfamiliar waters here for all of us. But my understanding, based on what I know for experience-wise, what I've seen in the past, is that if we come out and we make a decision, no matter what decision we make, we can't deviate from that conversation. I can't allow other
Yep.
items to be brought into this.
I promise not to talk about
And
it.
it's the same with the audience. The audience has a right to their opinion, but I can't deviate from what we said here and what we posted here for
Correct.
this meeting here. The next meeting, when the audience participates, anybody can talk about anything they want because that's a regularly scheduled, posted, it's not an emergency meeting. That's my understanding. Catherine.
So if you were to make a motion, I would think it would be clear what you're doing, because you would make a motion, on what your action was if you had an action.
Right.
So
it
we'd
would be
come back
clear
into
what the
regular
action
session.
is when you're in
So we,
regular session.
after executive session, we come back in a regular session. We would then make a motion for what we decided, so the public would know
Or what
what's
you're
going on.
thinking of.
Or what we're thinking of. And yeah, because I mean, I see your point. You want the public, so you want the public to know what we decided tonight, obviously, and all we can talk about is actually what the council decided as a whole, really.
Right.
And then so that
So
looks
you
like
would-
that would happen
you
either
would
way.
have that
But you're talking.
anyway. You
So
would
that
have
would
that.
happen either way.
Right.
But
The
you
council
specifically want-
The council statement would be made if a consensus is reached in executive session, we come out, a motion is made for a particular statement or item or something like that, we would then vote on it to accept it, pass it, right?
Yeah.
Then counselors would each have an opportunity to comment on that, as well as the audience that's here.
So the councilors, I would think, could comment on it anyway.
Well, not according to what you said earlier, that we can't add anything else here because
Well,
there's
not
no
other
report
subjects.
there.
No
No,
other
other
items.
subjects.
Correct.
Yeah. No other subjects.
The only subject I would like to be able to comment on for audience and for counselors tonight would be whatever announcement or decision or whatever we want to call it comes out of the executive session, if anything.
And comments should be only directed in that manner.
Yes,
Correct.
and to the mayor, yes. All right, so you all will decide what you want to do.
So that's my motion and how he seconded it.
Okay. So basically, I mean, I'm just trying to fully understand it before I vote. So basically, the big difference between what is going to happen if we leave it the way that it is and if we vote is basically we're going to get a little bit more counselor opinion. I mean, not counselor opinion, but a little bit more counselor talk, and also get, potentially hear from everybody in the audience tonight. Or not everybody, but whoever wants to speak.
I think so.
Correct, with respect to the motion.
Because either way this vote goes, everybody here tonight will know what we decided in executive session, because we're going to come out and tell them.
Exactly.
It's just whether or not we get to speak a little bit more, which it sounds like as long as we want to talk about this topic, councilors can talk as much as they want. It's just whether or not we get audience participation at the end.
So, Tim, when we come out of executive session and there's a motion made, usually there's a second, and then you'll ask for discussion before we vote to accept whatever that decision is?
If under the rules, if the rules are waived, like you said,
No, I'm just saying if we don't follow through on this motion.
if we don't follow through on this motion, then what will happen is we'll come out of executive session, we'll take a vote, we'll decide as a council, and
That would be it.
that would be it. Then it would be done for the evening.
So there's discussion in that
Right.
as well.
But the rest of the comments would be taking place at the next regularly scheduled council.
The audience comments
Right,
would
exactly.
take place at the other. So the big question is really, do we want to have audience comments tonight, or do we want to wait until the next town council meeting to get
This
on?
is an effort for transparency at
Yes.
the time.
Yes, yep, no.
Just-
I'm just trying to fully understand it so that, because I know this is a sensitive, a potentially sensitive issue, and I just, yeah.
And just so everybody's clear, if this is voted in tonight, we waive the rules. The only thing that I can discuss with this audience is what happens as far as what we vote on tonight, that one subject, and that's it. I can't discuss anything else. And I can't and I won't, because the town's attorneys are very clear on that. Okay? And when we vote on this, Deb, I'm going to ask you to, again, here's the other thing. Should Deb be voting on this?
Yes.
Yep, okay. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So, any comments, questions, councilors concerning what's on the floor? None?
I would have something to say. I'm all for transparency, but if you have an executive session, when you come out of the executive session, the only thing you can do is make the motion and vote on it, period. No discussion of any kind, and that's a legal opinion from MMA.
Which is why I made the motion to waive the rules, to suspend the rules.
Still, you can't
Because
discuss.
from that, it sounds like the counselors cannot even comment. I mean, Caleb was saying that
You
we
do all your
would be able to
discussion in
comment.
the executive session.
So
I
what
have
is
been in a
taking,
few of these.
so what is taking place in the executive session cannot be discussed when you come out. And it-
We're gonna make a
it never
statement
has
of
been.
some kind,
You're gonna make
or
a
not.
statement, yes.
So-
And you might say you're for the statement or you wanted more or something, but you can't discuss what went on. It's you
Oh, I
want to talk
understand
about your
that.
opinion.
Yes, I understand that, but I want to make sure that the counselors have the opportunity to make comments and that there is a discussion period after the motion is made and not just vote it yes, vote it no. And I would like the audience to be able to comment on that. I
So-
think it's entirely appropriate tonight.
So my only I understand this is different than what we've had before. My only comment is that we need to be very careful what we do, because I perceive that we could get wandering around and discuss items that go on an executive session by error, and get a little too far, and there might be a legal issue. So you're just going to have to be extremely careful about what you talk about.
Well, Tim's going to
If you
keep us
do
on the
that.
straight and narrow tonight.
He's got two gavels.
I was gonna say he's got dolphins.
And I will use them. I promise you. No. So, you know what's before us. Any other questions or comments? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of suspending the rules, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, we're going to have a roll call vote.
Nay.
Counselor Donahue says aye.
Aye.
Nay. Aye.
Nay.
Nay, based on what everyone is from our town attorneys.
Well, in the past and what MMA has said and everything. I think it's just so that people don't get into trouble.
I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we enter executive session, Title I, Section 4056A, to discuss the potential discipline of an individual public official.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving and seconded. All those in favor of going into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, so this council will now enter executive session.
All right, so we need to decide if I enter executive session with you, or you call me in, or what you would like to do, or I just
I would
stay
like
out here.
Catherine to
I
come
brought
in.
other work.
Since she was a witness.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, no, I think Catherine should be there.
And so you know,
Unless
you
you
can
have
call people
other
into
people.
the executive session if you so desire. If you feel you want to talk to somebody, you can call them in.
So, well, do we want to start with just as the council and then see
Start.
where that leads us?
I would suggest we start just as a council, and then we call people in if we need them, as we need them.
Mhm.
Fair enough? We are in executive session.
Mr. Mayor, the motion on the floor, the audience has the opportunity to speak. That first motion made on the floor, audience has a right to speak before any vote or discussion is made by the council. That's the way it's done all the time.
We have just entered into executive session.
Well, I have my hand raised for a point of clarification, but I was gavelled down. You did not follow the proper protocol. It's a minor moot point, but you need to follow the rules. There was a motion on the floor. It had nothing to do with the executive session. It had to do with the topic. And the audience, the taxpayers, have the right to speak. Whether they speak or not, we did not get afforded that opportunity.
You will be afforded that opportunity.
No, not after the fact, Mr. Mayor, not after the fact. There was a motion on the floor done before anything was mentioned about executive session. So as taxpayers, as citizens of this town, we have the right to speak. Point of clarification that should be addressed.
Well taken. Executive session this.
And I get to go as well as the original complaint, correct?
No,
They'll call
just
you.
the council.
They'll call you if they want to talk.
It says in my rights and law that as the original complainant, I'm entitled to go in.
So for the audience at home, to be clear on what is taking place, the councils will go into executive session in the back room. I will turn the video camera off, and then before, when the councils come out, before they make any motions or talk, I will turn it back on. Thank you.
And we wait. And we shall wait.